Okay, so I never did something like this one before, but if what I'm feeling and what I'm trying to go through can help somebody else, then why not? For anybody who's watching this, it's not familiar with this channel. The channel is always about comic books and having and talking about stuff, but today is completely off topic. They usually say welcome back family because it's Team Ohana and Stitch and all that stuff, but um, today it's just different. Um, Almost a week ago, we had to put our Basset Hound Buster down. Um, Everybody has that once in a lifetime pet, where it's not a pet, it's a family member, and Buster was ours. And it's been a week, and I'm still losing it a little bit. I wanted to talk about something about grief. Maybe it could help other people also get through. Not just if you've lost a pet, just a loved one. It could be your parent or your sibling, cousin, uncle, God forbid, child. Um, See, I have no kids. It's just it wasn't part of the grand plan for me to have kids. So for me, Buster was as close to a child as I'll ever know, and I'm not in any way, shape, or form comparing the loss of my um, my companion, my my dog, with anybody who's lost a child. I know somebody who recently lost a child, and I could hear his anguish a month later. And no, I'm not in his ballpark. I get it. Okay, so I mean, no disrespect to anybody who's lost a family member. I've lost family members as well. But what I can say is that the this I mean, I've had pets before. I've had dogs, cats. I had a freaking squirrel once. I had snakes, parakeets, guinea pig, hamster. Uh, all kind, just I've had animals my entire life, and none of them have lived forever. And every single one was something like, oh, I feel bad. I'm going to miss the animal, and I got to say goodbye. Okay, fine. They're in a better place, and you feel a little sad for a while, but this one is it's absolutely ripping my heart out. Um, so I'm looking at the stages of grief, and some people put up 5 stages, some people put 7 stages up, and the one thing that I notice is missing from those stages is guilt, and this one is absolutely killing me because I'm like micro analyzing every single moment in this dog's life and thinking back, I wish I'd done this different. I wish I'd done that different. Regrets. And then the ultimate guilt for putting my name to paper, which ended his past, ended his life. So I wanted to talk about this because I don't know if anybody else out there is feeling this way. If you are, hopefully this helps. If you know somebody who is going through this, maybe hearing what I have to say will help. Um, oh boy, see, 20 years ago, my grandmother passed away. My grandmother was my closest family member, not even close. And I know, I remember all the great times we had with each other. The great talks, the great fun, the times that she just showed me how much she cared, the times I tried to show her how much I care. Those little simple little presents that would just come out of nowhere just to say, hey, you're on my mind today. But what's going through my head is towards the end when she had Alzheimer's, um, she had fallen and broken her hip at one point. And it's because honestly, I came home from work, she had already fallen and dislocated her shoulder. So I got her to the hospital and they popped her shoulder back in and they put her on Vicodin. Vicodin and Alzheimer's is not a good combination. So for 3 days straight, had stayed home with her, but she couldn't sleep. She was wide awake, and she was keeping me awake as well. So I'm going on like hour 72 of sleep deprivation, and I was not doing well. And she just kept saying the same thing. She was looking for me as a child, and her and her son as a child, and where's little Billy, and that's my father's name, and where's this, and where's this, and these are things that have been gone for 30, 40, 50 years. Anybody who deals with Alzheimer's, you forget the most recent memories first, and then the ones you still remember are the ones from the way, way, way past. And that's what she was still living in. And I'm like, I just need a couple hours of sleep. I couldn't. And at one point, I snapped and I yelled at her. I didn't touch her, if anybody's wondering. No, I just yelled at her. They're not here. Please get some sleep. And to this day, it's 20 years later. 20 years after her passing, like 22 years after that happened, I still feel the guilt for that. And, I mean, it wasn't her fault. And, I mean, if any rational person told me that they had done exactly the same thing, I said, look, I get it. You're trying to be on your best behavior every single minute, and then you deal with that kind of stuff for so long. You're going to have your moments of, like, she's not mad at you in heaven. She's not mad at you. She understands. But I can't get myself out of it. So it's not fair. You're going to start to microanalyze every little thing. So what happens with, let's just say Buster, okay? I think about every time that in my life that he wanted to come up on the couch, and I just felt like, no, you know what? I feel like stretching out today. I'm like, I could have given him a few more times on the couch. I could have done this. The one that really kills me, and this one really does bother me, is he'd eat anything, okay? And he was happy to get anything. You could throw cardboard on the floor. The dog would eat it, and he'd be happy, like, oh, thank you, Daddy. The other two prima donnas that I have are finicky little bums. So, I mean, I stopped myself. I wanted to say other B words that would fit them, but just say bums. So what I had to do was every single day we feed them. We got to throw in some Parmesan cheese, maybe a little ranch dressing, a little bit of this, stir it up, maybe add a little bit of warm water, get a little bit more gravy going, and still they're like, nah. I mean, they eat like cats. It just drives me nuts. So we never know how much to feed. We got a Great Dane. Sometimes he eats 5 cups. Sometimes he eats 3 cups. Sometimes he eats no cups because he just doesn't feel like it. And I'm like, this is why he's a runt of the litter. But what we would do is if he didn't eat his food, then Buster would be the vacuum cleaner. He'd be the Hoover. He would clean the dish. We'd say, hey, do the dishes. So anything that was left over, he would get. And he was like, cool, I get this tonight. If they did eat everything, okay, you're good. All right, then I could just give Buster his regular kibble. And I'm, after he passed, I'm thinking, it wasn't right. He was the one good one. And he was rewarded with sloppy leftovers or dry kibble every single night. The prima donnas should have gotten kibble or starved, and he should have gotten filet mignon every night. I'll be honest, that's the first time I've been able to say that without crying this week, because it just really does bother me. You're gonna remember the bad things, the little stupid things that you could have done different, you should have done different. But if you try to remember, how did he act, or she? How did they act whenever they saw you? And this does not just go for animals. Let's just say you have to make the difficult decision for your mom, your dad. When you would see them or talk to them, how did they act? Did they act like you treated them like a second-class loved one? Chances are no. Otherwise, you probably wouldn't be this far into the video. So, nobody is perfect, okay? Nobody is perfect. All you can do is just try to show them how much they mean to you every single day. And if They are, whether it's like I said, your companion animal, of a loved one, a family that you have to make that difficult decision for. If you remember that every single time they saw you, they were happy to see you, that you're like, oh, cool, I get to spend time with this person. And overall, you did great. And it's not that easy to do great over a lifetime. So please do not be hard on yourself. And now the big one, which is again, it applies to not just pets, and I'll just say pets, but it is loved ones, but I don't want it to get confused. It does not just apply to pets, but it does also apply to family members in some cases, where you have to make that absolute difficult decision to end their suffering. Okay? I mean, there are people that are on life supports and, they're in a coma, and you're like, well, are they really suffering if they're in a coma? Well, yeah, because their quality of life is not there. This is something that, it's going to sound really weird, but I swear to God, this is the truth. When I was about 10, 11 years old, I told you my grandmother and I were very close. I was about 10, 11 years old. My grandmother took me on the side and said, I want to talk to you about something. She never talked to me about serious stuff. I mean, we had conversations, but still, those we need to talk things never happened. She always sheltered me from something when I was a kid. And I'm about 10, 11 years old, and she's having this talk with me. She said, if I'm ever uh, in a vegetative state or incapacitated in the hospital, and there is not a good chance of me coming back and being at full facilities, I want you to pull the plug. Now, how do you ask a 10-year or 11-year-old this, And I'm 10 or 11, also wondering, why are you asking me? I'm a kid. So, not to shirk the responsibility, but he asked the obvious question, why don't you ask Dad or Joey, her two sons? And she said, they won't be able to do it. But I know you would put me before, you put my wishes first. So I thought about it, and I'm like, okay, I guess I'll have to. And in my head, I'm like, I guess I'd have to like pin a chair up against the door in the hospital room and then pull the plug. I'm literally thinking that's what it is pulling a plug. And then I'll have to spend like a lot of time in jail. But if that's what she wants, okay. And I said, all right, I promise I'll do it. And it's you know, I kind of understood the weight of it back then. I truly, truly do now. And I didn't have to. And my grandmother, she actually passed away from a heart attack while she was in a nursing home. And I've had to put, my pets down in the past. But Buster was the first family member, he was to me, that I had to sign the paper saying, okay, do it. So this is my first real experience with this. Now, Buster's a basset hound. We found him when he was about, they estimate 3 years old. He was a big basset hound. His shoulder height was about 10, 11 inches, I guess. Yeah. But he was 65 inches from nose to tail. He also weighed in, depending upon what kind of a diet he was on that week, anywhere between 63 and 67 pounds. But he was all muscle. This guy was a tank. Okay? Now, I don't need to get into his personality, but you have the visual representation of what he looked like. So he's up now, a little over 13 years old. I came home last Saturday, 8 days ago from the time of this recording. And he greeted me as always, comes running up to me at the door and pat him and love him, as I always do. And a little while later on, my wife said, hey, Buster, let's go out and check the mail. She came back, she goes, he seems to be favoring his back legs a little bit, like, it seems stiff. This is in the afternoon. And 2 hours later, he has no movement in his hindquarters. Almost like, I wouldn't say he was paralyzed, but it almost looked like if you had like sat on your legs for all day long and they were dead sleep. Like if you've ever like read the newspaper while you go into the bathroom and you go to stand up and both your legs have just completely fallen asleep, you feel like you're like he was completely dragging his back legs. And this is not the first time that he's ever had like a pinched nerve or something. Or like did he hit himself somewhere? Um, we've had it before. He's been like really badly limping or dragging a leg, and the next day he's running around fine. Like we've talked to the vets about that. He probably whacked a nerve or something like that. It's okay. So he's dragging his legs. It's Saturday night. We're like, this is not right. But did he do something? But he doesn't seem to be in pain. He's smiling. He's eating. He's drinking. He's barking. It's just that he's dragging his back legs. So we figure we'll take him to the vet on Sunday. We called up on Sunday and the vet was closed, but he has not changed at all. If anything's actually a little bit better, where if we pick up his hind legs, he could stand and like almost take a step or two. Like, all right, whatever impact it is, it's not getting worse, it's getting better. Sign off for, call off for work on Monday. We're taking him to that first thing Monday. So we go in and she checks him out and she says, he's got a bad spine problem. And it's not at the back. It's one vertebrae past where his front legs are. And we're like, and she said, and he's actually in a lot of pain, but he doesn't show it. And like, what do you mean? And she actually just like picked up his head a little bit to curve that spine, and he yelped in pain. She's like, yeah, he's in pain, but he's just not showing it. And I'm like, so what can we do? She said, well, look, you can do surgery. And then months of rehab. It might help. Okay. But his age is going to make it pretty difficult. Again, he's 13 and a half. Average life expectancy for this breed of dog is 11 to 12. He's all gray. He's got cataracts. He can't see too well anyway. And I said, so he's going to, maybe this will work. And in the meantime, while he's going through, he's going to be in a lot of pain. She said yes. And if everything works perfectly, you might get another 6 months. And I'm like, am I doing that for me or for him? And I said, what other option? She goes, there's just one more option. And that's that we can end his suffering today. But he's really suffering. So you can see already where I got some guilt going. That, he's been there for, how long has this been going on? He has comprehensive visits, but they haven't picked up on it. But more importantly, I've got to sign this paper. I brought him to the vet, and he hated going to the vet, but he knew that I brought him there to make him better. And I'm kind of taking him there to make the pain go away, but not make him better. So there's some guilt involved in that. But now is the point where I have to sign the paper. This could also be equated to the point where somebody else has to say, okay, take them off of life support. Some people that are outside looking in, they may look and say, you just didn't want to take care of them, or you just didn't want to do this. They're ignorant. Ignore them. Okay? They don't understand. The question to me, and it really took a while to light bulb myself, and hopefully you're hearing this too. If you're in this position, the question is not, do you love them enough to pick up after them and clean up poop or do whatever to keep them around? Because you're not keeping them around for them, you're keeping them around for you. The question is, do you love them enough to let them go? Because what you're volunteering to do by signing that paper or by telling the doctor this or that to take them off life support, you are agreeing not just to end their suffering. You're agreeing to end their pain by taking it into yourself. Okay? I mean, we all knew that Buster was not going to live forever. But what I wanted to do, and I didn't think about it at that time. It wasn't why, this is why I'm doing it, this grand noble gesture. But what I agreed to do, unknowingly, was to not just end his pain, but to take his pain and put it into me. Because now I'm the one that's hurting, but he's not. So if you have a family member or another, or a furry companion or a scaled or feathered one, and they're suffering, and you're like, I don't want to, I want one more week, one more year, I want one more decade or more. I mean, I thought about that. Can I take him home and have one more day with him and then bring him back? I'm like, that's not for me. That's for him. I mean, that's not for him. That's for me. He's gonna be in. Do I want to take him home and hug him a whole 24 hours just for my sake while he's in pain? That's not fair. I wouldn't want that done to me. The point is, you're gonna have to let go at some point. So I made a decision right there on the spot. I'm like, let's go ahead and do it. And so, I was not okay. All right, still not. But his pain is ended. It's in here now. And one of my friends, one of the people at Sports Channel, he was telling me that's about his once in a lifetime, and he hopes that my pain subsides at some point. And there's a part of me that doesn't want the pain to go away, because as much as the pain hurts, it reminds me how much I love him. And if the pain fades, I'm afraid I'm going to forget how special they were. I don't think I ever will. I mean, my grandmother passed 20 years ago, and I still think of her, and I know in my heart how much I love her. So I'm not ready to dispense the pain yet. And I'm not a masochist. I don't enjoy the pain. But the pain is part of the deal. It's part of what comes with it. It's helping me to accept that it's real, that it's happening, and I can try to move on. I don't want to live in denial. But if you're facing that decision, and you're wondering, what can I do for them? The ultimate expression of love is to take their pain and bring it into yourself. And it sucks. There's no two ways about it. It does. But it's a great way of showing how much we love them, that we're willing to take this from them, even at our own cost. If you put an animal that you don't know out of its misery, you don't take any pain. You don't feel any, it's like, okay, I did it because it was the right thing to do. It's when it's hard, when that loved one, companion, family member has that emotional attachment. And it's that much harder to let go. That's when you can really show your love. The people that do make that decision are not the ones that are weak. They're the ones that are the strongest. And if you're going through that, whether you're about to go through it, you already have, you're in the past, somebody else, my heart goes out to you. I know what you're feeling. And we'll get through this together. Okay, so I want to say thank you guys for sticking around and listening to this as long as you did. And my love goes out to you. Mahalo.